Hello everyone. I am back with an update on nursing school. So many of you know I've been in nursing school, and so many have been asking me about update on nursing school. I'm here with an update, and it's also like an experience, a nursing school experience that have been, that really affected my life, and I'm here to share my experience. I did continue on with my nursing school journey. I did all what I could do for 2+ years, and at the end of school, at least to the college that I went to, we do have an exit exam, which is 180 questions, and you need to score about 71% to pass and then exit school and then move on to taking your state board exam, which is the NCLEX. The 180 exam is provided by the ATI. So in order to prepare for that exam, like the last few months of school, we do have an ATI program that we have to follow, and that's also prepping us for the state board exam. For like each week, we start with fundamental, farm, med surg, and so on, all the way to the end. And then we take an assessment at home, which give you the green lights, or may not give you the green lights, which is give you an okay that you're good, and then you can move on to take the exam at school. Moving forward, when I was taking my assessment at home, I was behind, and I kept on getting emails from the school telling me to hurry up, because the time for the exit exam is nearing, so you have to be able to finish all the work at home in order to be able to sit down at school and take the exam with everybody. But everybody study things differently. Someone can tell you hurry up and study, but if you're not studying at your own pace, it's hard to just do all what you can. I was focusing like on the hard and the hardest of the materials, and I did all what I could do to catch up, with everybody, with where I was in my homework, in order to be able to go and take the exam with everybody. However, I wasn't ready to take the school exam, the in-class exam, but I don't think they would let me not take the exam with the entire class. It's meant for everybody to take it all at once. I knew I wasn't ready, but I had to go sit down and take it with my entire class. When I went to take the exam, I felt like the exam was easy. I kept on waiting for the harder questions. I know I said the exam was easy, but the exam was easy, and the entire time I kept on thinking to myself, oh my gosh, this is so easy, but I never went over this material. Oh my goodness, this is so easy, but I never went over this material. So I did the best that I could do, and then toward the end of my exam, I ran out of time. I rushed and answered all the questions, and the exam was over. At the end of it, I felt good. I felt confident. I was smiling. I was just waiting for the result to be out. For sure, I thought I passed, because although I knew I didn't go over some of the material, I still felt like the exam was not so hard. An hour later, the results are out, and it was really hard for me to take it. I did score a 71.3, and we needed a 72%, and it actually kind of hurt me because it was so close. I was like really close, less than 1% close to passing this exam, yet I didn't make it. And I felt like I could have passed the exam and I didn't make it, and I actually felt like maybe if I had scored like lower, let's say I made like a 50% or 60%, I would know that, okay, I just did not know the material. But to be so close and not pass, it just kind of put me like, in the middle of like two spaces where I was kind of wondering what could I have done, because I am like, I didn't I failed, but I didn't fail like really horribly, and yet I didn't pass. So I was between these two spaces, and I didn't know how to feel. I didn't know how to think. I was really, really devastated. And one thing I had to do after going to nursing school for like 2 years, I should know what to do, right? I should know what to do with myself. If I'm going to be a future nurse, I need to start with myself. So one thing I decided to do is to take the time and grieve. So I took that week and I let it all out. I grieved and grieved and grieved. I cried. You know, I was sad. I didn't eat. I did all of that just to cleanse myself, to let all my negative thought and emotion, to let it all out. Because one thing I learned is holding back tears. Everybody's experience is different, but holding tears in my entire life of living has never helped me. Letting the tear fall off give me, you know, once the tear fall off, I get a little lighter and I start to feel better. So after taking the time to completely grieve, and being fortunate to have some of my classmates really like give me some support and, you know, offer to help me as much as they could, it kind of gave me the courage and the strength where I was able to take the time and go back in my books and continue to studying again. Because once you fail that exit exam, they give you a chance to take another one for a second time. To tell the truth, because I was so devastated and I felt like with the first exam I gave it my all and still didn't pass, on this second attempt I did go back and review my weak areas, you know, try to prepare for the second test. In the back of my mind, I knew I wasn't giving it all as I did for the first exam. So I did all what I could, and the day of the exam came, and the exam, when I started taking, with the first exam, when I kept on taking the exam, I kept waiting for the harder question, and the harder question never came. But for this second exam, after about 25 questions, I was thinking to myself, where are the easy questions? And then 50 questions, and I'm like, where are the easy questions? And then it gets to 100, and I was like, I have not seen one easy question. All the questions were like, the questions were so hard, and I started to regret not actually giving it 100% for this second time around. And I started to think to myself, what have I done? You know, am I gonna fail this exam again? You know? And then I managed to go all the way to the end. Although the exam wasn't like easy, I did notice that the materials that I study, the hard materials that I study for the first exam were actually on this second exam. And I didn't go back over the stuff because I studied the hard stuff and none of it came out. And fortunate for me, it came back in the second exam. And it was hard material, so you still had to think. Lucky for me, my memory, I was able to go back, you know, and remember all the hard stuff and answer the question to the best that I could. And I almost ran out of time again. But once the exam ended, I walked out of the exam having a migraine and like vomiting. You know, I had to go to the bathroom and vomit because the exam was so hard and I was feeling so horrible. And one thing during the exam, I know this is kind of nasty, but this is how hard I felt the exam was. During the second exam, I had to like stop because I had like an episode of diarrhea because I was just so nervous. And then I went home and I was waiting for the result to be out. The result was taking forever to come out. After the first exam, I was confident, I was happy, I was waiting for the result. But after this exam, I felt really horrible. I was questioning myself. I didn't know, like I was lost all over again. I had like all these fears in me, and I kept on refreshing, my computer because the results were going to be posted online. And I kept on refreshing and refreshing and refreshing, and finally it came out that I have passed. And I couldn't believe I passed this exam, because this exam was like 10 times harder than the first exam, and that's the exam that I passed. And when I look back, I think that I passed the exam only because the materials that ended up on the exam were the material that I had studied and prepared for the first exam, and it was never in the first exam. And like, lucky for me, it ended up in the second exam. But the exam was just, it was just so hard. And I think the school, they made the exam like that because they felt like we were getting a second chance and we had more time to study, so therefore the material had to be harder. I'm thinking that my conspiracy is, I'm thinking that they probably made the exam extra hard because they're assuming we got extra time. And then before going to the exam, there's a lady at my school, she offered like test taking strategy skills. I did work with her. I listened to her test taking strategy. Like, she can help you, break down a test question, eliminate and find all the clues to help you answer a question. And there was another lady at my school who gave me like assignments to do, like some other reading assignment based on my weaknesses from the first exam. And then I continued to study the ATI material. Doing all of that, and plus remembering what I have learned throughout my entire time in nursing school, had helped me pass this first exam. So this is just to let anybody know out there that it is doable, because when I fell the first time, I felt like my whole nursing career was over. I kept on thinking to myself, oh my gosh, all this time and energy and money and sacrifices I made for nursing school, and here I am failing nursing school and no hopes and no dream. I mean, what will my plan be? Like, I don't have a plan B. Nursing is just something I wanted to do for like so long. I spent like years and years and years and years working hard to get into nursing school, and now it all came down crashing. What do I fall back on? The key to all of this is to never quit, because if you keep trying, eventually you will pass. If you keep trying, eventually you will pass that exam, as long as you keep trying. So even if I had gone and failed this test again for the second time, I will go ahead and try. I will take the shame with me and redo it again and try again to pass this. The key to all of this is just never quitting. The only time that all is over is when you quit. When you decide to quit, you decide to not want to try anymore, then that's the end of it. But as long as you're willing to try again, to give it a little bit more time, do it again and do it again and do it again and do it again, eventually you will succeed. I did pass my exit exam, and after the exit exam, that's not the last. I had to move on to my state board exam. But this will be all for this video, and if you want to see my experience with my state board exam, comment below and let me know, and I'll be happy to share that experience. Thanks for watching.